And it's something else I noticed when I was reading your bio was that you attribute your love of reading to your parents reading to you, and you learned to read at actually age 4, so well advanced.
Yeah.
Tell me about your early experience and how you think maybe that's informed your life as a book enthusiast.
It's such a good question, and I give it so much weight. It was my mom who was the primary person who read to me, though my dad always read "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" every Christmas Eve. We couldn't go to bed until he read that out loud to us. So that was very, very precious. But there was a thing, it was called the Dr. Seuss Book Club, where every month I would get a book in the mail in a brown box, and we never knew what the book was. And they weren't all by Dr. Seuss, but they were all in this series of this book club. And it was so exciting to get that unmarked box. I still remember the excitement of that. And then so I started to get this collection of these little hardcover, mostly Dr. Seuss books. And those are the ones that my mom would read out loud to me over and over and over again. And so I started to kind of teach myself to read at 4. And I'm convinced it's because of all the time that she invested in reading out loud to me. I actually have a memory of a pair of her shoes sitting in the upstairs bathroom, and they said Sears on the inside. And I remember pointing and saying, Sears. And she went, oh, yeah, that's right. Wow. I was so literate. I was reading shoes at the age of 4. But yeah, and I actually remember when we finally canceled the book club. And I didn't understand that once it was one of those things where, it keeps coming until you cancel. And they got to the point where, I think we have enough books. We don't want to do this anymore. But they accidentally sent us a book. And my mom was like, no, I'm sorry, you can't open that box. It has to go back. And I was like, what do you mean? There's a book in there. It was horrible. That was my earliest trauma, Rob, I think.
Just this deep desire for the book you couldn't have?
I'll never know what was in the box. But yeah, that was such a big part of my early years. And so then I went to kindergarten, and my kindergarten teacher knew that I was already reading at a certain level. So when she would work on phonics with the kids, she had a rack of books in the back of the classroom, and she would let me go and quietly pick a book and read to myself so that I didn't have to sit through the parts that I didn't need to do. So that was also very helpful. To have a teacher who was right there just feeding my love for books and not making me sit and say B says B if I didn't need to. I think that takes a special teacher too. So.
And you were allowed to pick out the books you wanted to read. You weren't being force-fed books that they thought would make you, a better human being or whatever.
I don't think so. This was 1970, so I think they were just, books. They were just, I couldn't even tell you what they were, but she had them on a display. So, yeah.
And I'm always annoyed when I encounter that. I work a little bit with the school system here. And when I see people trying to force kids to read books that I wouldn't read, I know they're boring. I read them in high school. Like the Scarlet Letter, you can skip it. It's terrible. I know some people I just turned off the show. And I'm never going to listen again, Middle Grade Ninja. You suck. But I really feel the Scarlet Letter. You can skip it. You'll be fine.
Yes.
So you and I are on the same page on that.
Absolutely.
But what I hate is when I see that they kind of associate with when I read, I'm doing something I have to do,
right?
And it's going to be boring and unpleasant. Whereas if you just let them read whatever they want, even if what they want is a book that's half graphic novel or all graphic novel, great. It's words on a page. Let them go.
They're still reading. They're still reading. Yep.
So did your love of reading continue then, even when you were fully focused on music? Were you still coming home to a nice book?
In college, not so much, because, college sucks all the life out of your brain, and all the reading you have to do is for your classes. And when you're a music major, your workload is triple the other students, because in addition to just your basic classes that you have to take, the coursework outside of music, you have to take all these little classes that you're not even getting full credit for, like learning all the different instruments and guitar class and theory, written theory and oral theory and percussion class. And it's crazy. And so your schedule's really, really full. So reading for fun just did not happen. Now, I would come home on break and read, and it was always fantasy. But actually, those 4 years in college kind of knocked me off kilter. And I didn't get back into reading until I was married for a number of years. I was reading to my kids once they come along. But it's funny how when you get out of the habit of something, it's just, you realize you're just not doing it. And I just snapped one day and I'm like, why am I not reading? And I started getting library books, and that's what happened. So yeah. And what's really almost embarrassing is that I did not know who Tolkien was until college. I don't know if I grew up in some kind of literary vacuum. I also I didn't know about the Narnia books. I didn't know who C.S. Lewis was. Obviously, these books weren't in my school. I don't know why. I did watch the animated version of The Hobbit. Did you ever see that?
Of course.
Oh my gosh. So I loved that. And every time it would be on Saturday morning, I'd be like, yay, I love this. Didn't know it was a book. So when I discovered that these were books, that's what I was reading on my college breaks, like Lord of the Rings. And yeah, so I was a little late to the game there. But yeah, I just read whenever I can.